Everybody, Bonehead from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to STL Sunday. This is our show where we look at everything 3D printed for wargaming. Now, we have ticked over into May. We had a pretty good April in the world of STLs, and now we're going to look forward at some of my picks of the best STLs dropping this month from various companies. We're obviously going to start with Blood Bowl, then we're going to move into fantasy, and we are going to finish very strong indeed with some sci-fi and Trench Crusade bits as well. Now, before we move on, I just want to say, anything I've missed, anything else you've seen that you want us to share or look at or print so you don't have to, drop it in the comments below and we will take a look at it. But for now, let's start with the best. It's Blood Bowl. Okay, so let's start out with Blood Bowl, and I think my favourite pick so far of the month is the Punga Cathay team part 2. Now, this video is going out on Sunday, which means I think the print pitch would have gone out yesterday for it. So the first part of the Cathay team dropped last month, and the second part dropped day before yesterday, I think, and it is wicked. So let's take the full picture of this so you can see what's going on. So this is from Punga. This is their Cathay themed human/nobility team, and in month 2 you get 2 more blockers, a big guy, 2 halflings, 2 catchers, and 3 extra linemen. So it's a human team. It's an Imperial Nobility team. You can even use it for Amazons. You can use it for whatever, because if you get both parts, you get 2 blitzers, 2 throwers, 2 catchers, 4 blockers, 2 different big guys, and 2 halflings, and a bunch of linemen for you as well. So any Blood Bowl team that fits in that, superb. Now, I've already spoken to Punga, because looking at this team, we need them to add some weapons, change some poses, and release these for the old world. Like, I'm really excited for Cathay in the old world. I really like the vibe, and I really like the models to be here. And if Punga's just done this so well already, let's have some glaives, let's have some spears, and let's have it for the old world. But this model is in the pick for one of my favorites this year so far. Now, it is a big stone golem. They've dropped it at 100%. They've even provided an upscaled version so that you can have a supported even bigger version, which is absolutely fantastic. And I intend to print this guy at 200% scale and get him like this big so that we can just start, I don't know, getting the vibe of Cathay. It's very cool to have something new for tabletop, and Punga timed this release right, and it is absolutely perfect for Blood Bowl. So strong starts to the month for those guys. Oh, but let's not forget, we've got part 3 this month. Brutefun had to take a month off because he knackered his hand, and as a sculptor, I imagine you quite need your hands to be able to sculpt things. And he is dropping part 3, the final part, I believe, of his Savage Orcs and Goblins team. Now, we've got part 1, we've got part 2. It's there on the table because I started filming a print pitch for part 2, and it means you can play them as goblins. It means you can play them as, I believe, the secret teams for which we'll be talking about in the podcast in a week, this week, because it's just filling out really nicely. So it's already a really cool forest goblin themed goblin team. But the fact is, he's adding all the orc pieces so you can blend it for a bunch of other teams as well. So I am following this one's career with absolutely great interest, and I'm really enjoying the way he's colorizing his images as he goes. So yeah, we'll find out more from Brutefun as the month goes on. Now, over in UGNI's world, I am personally not very familiar with Mexican wrestling, but Los Luchadors, the UGNI halfling team, has dropped. And I've got to say, like, it's nailed, absolutely nailed the vibe. A couple of you mentioned this, either in the Discord or on a comment in one of our videos, and say, look, I can't wait for this team to come out. So I was immediately following it, and we'll get this printed out as well to show off soon. But, I mean, it is a Mexican wrestling-themed halfling team with giant cactus treemen, which I think works brilliantly. And UGNI's done a really good job here of providing every single model with, quite frankly, an unnecessary amount of character, including these big boys here, which, with the boxing gloves on the cactus, you know what it reminds you of, but it's just been done in such a clever way. And he's got the little UGNI symbol there as well, which I just think is absolutely superb. This is a very fun team. I can't see myself painting it up, but I can definitely see this being used at tournaments because it's just an absolute ton of fun. So that's the UGNI Los Luchadors team as well. Now, we haven't looked at Realm of Paths for a little while, I don't think. Maybe we have. But Realm of Paths is changing up how they do things as well. So Brutefun and Punga and even UGNI to an extent will do their team releases in part 1, part 2. And then some of them will do part 3 to add extensions to make it a different team, which is basically what Brutefun's doing. It's like we add some orcs and some other stuff so you can use it for different things. I think he's even gone so far as to add enough stuff so you can potentially use it as a Norse team, which is just Brutefun overdoing it as ever. So this is Realm of Paths, and they changed up from doing a month at a time to doing basically in 2 parts. I don't think it hurts. I quite like the idea, and I've been really enjoying like print, build, print, paint, print, paint. It works really well because, I mean, 2 months is not a huge amount of time to get a Blood Bowl team done and dusted. So Realm of Paths has had this kind of cartoony style to them, and they're now moving into a bit more of a realistic phase. So we've got a first part of a Lizardman team. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sauruses and 2 Chameleon Skinks. And this is a much more realistic kind of Games Workshop style, but with very different proportions. So the Sauruses here, bigger shoulders, smaller snake-like faces, which I think is pretty cool. Now, Brutefun's done a really good lizard team. I think UGNI's also done a really good lizard team. I think there's quite a few decent STL lizard teams out there. So being able to land it and having a different style is quite useful and quite good. So I will watch this one with great interest as well. And I think we might have to print it off and show it off later in the month. Okay, so fantasy wargaming. I'm on a bit of a hobby high at the moment, as you guys will know if you're following the channel. One Page Rules has captured me as a gamer, and I'm printing out and painting a whole load of stuff. I've even got a bit of Old World on the table, which is like all this brown mess here. I got to do some hobby last night, which was quite fun. But this has captured me by the resin tanks. Here we go. Oh, let's move my face down here, because Highland minis are doing even more Skaven. Now, Highland minis went hard on their first couple of Skaven releases. You had some Rat Ogres, you had a billion Clan Rats, and you had some Acolytes, Plague Sensors, Bearers, the Plague Monks, which is all very well and good, but this is what I wanted. I wanted the Clan Scryer machines of death, doom and destruction, because I was one of those people that had like half a dozen rattling cannons when it came to Warhammer 6th edition. Oh, just absolutely peak. But all of this set is great. We've got Jezzails, we've got a Warp Lightning Cannon, and you've got the weapons teams. So you've got the flamethrower on the left, you've got the rattling gun in the middle, you've got the weird stabby drill thing, you've got the mortar, they've got the, oh God, I don't know what the drill rider's called, that was but after my time. You've got a little engineer, I guess, and then you've got the plague globadeers. And dude, this is all getting printed the second it releases. I don't care. My only fear is that I'm away for work when this drops, so which means I lose a day of printing, because I cannot wait to print this stuff out. Now, I'm not going to be printing it for the Old World, because obviously Skaven have got they don't have any rules for the Old World except for the downloadable one, which means they're not really I don't know, the Games Workshop events, even though this is 3D printed. I don't know. The Old World is weird at the moment. I think we mentioned it in a podcast the other week, where you've got kind of like different comps, which means the Old World is not really being played in one style everywhere, which makes it a bit challenging. So where Skaven kind of sit on the periphery of that, even though I strongly believe Skaven are going to be the next thing after Cathay because of what they did with AOS, I'm going to be continuing to do this stuff for One Page Rules, because I just, yeah. I mean, not only is the basing exactly the same as Age of Sigmar, where Skaven can actually be played, One Page Rules is just way more fun and accessible for me at the moment. So I will be printing this stuff and adding it to the 100 Clan Rats that I've already printed out ready for some Skaven shenanigans, because, hey, it's Skaven. Look at this. Like, look at this. It's just Skaven being posed as if they're firing an M2 50 cal from a seated position. It's just magnificent, and yeah, I'm going to need a couple of those. And the Warp Lightning Cannon is just an absolute beast as well. So yes, very, very excited for these guys to drop. All right, now we carry on with our fantasy trade and we go into One Page Rules. So One Page Rules is on the last month of their Wood Elves, and then, oh boy howdy, they're going into Dwarves, and I am mega jazzed for that as well, which is kind of useful to have a Skaven army being played up, because dwarves tend to fight against Skaven. So I think so. But this last month of the Wood Elves, they've got basically a bunch of heroes coming out. They've got some Way Watchers coming out, and this is, I believe, a character for, or is it a wizard? I can't remember if this is a wizard. I think this might just be a wizard for the Wood Elves. It's not even a character for their RPG. This is just one of my favorite elf models I've seen in a really long time. Like, it's quite simple in that it's just a wood elf mage with a staff and a shield, which is unusual, but the posing of it and the detail of it, I just love this. This looks like classic Warhammer fantasy. This looks like classic fantasy gaming model, and I'm super excited for that one, because I think that's going to be a real delight to paint, and it's going to look really cool on the table. And this is probably one of the preeminent minis from the OPR Wood Elf range that would look absolutely brilliant on a 25mm square base. Like, taking part in old school square based Warhammer, this model would fit right in. Now the rest of it is beautiful OPR stuff. So they've got some Way Watchers coming. I can't remember what they call them, but they're Way Watchers, and they've got a different tack with these kind of look like ninjas instead of like cloaked Way Watchers, which is still very, very cool. They've done a really good job of making these Owl Wood Elves their own. Oh my god, yeah, of course. And they've got the Beetle Riders as well. So this is basically your Treekin Revenant. I don't know, what are they called in Age of Sigmar now? You've Kurnoth Hunters. They've got some of those in Age of Sigmar where they're flying around on beetles. They now have their version of the Kurnoths, which are these kind of beetle people. Actually, I think they're kind of beetles with the souls of elves inside them, flying around on big beetle bugs. It's just a very cool design, and OPR just dropped so much stuff. Not all of it is to your taste, but all of it is done really well, including the big bird Bugman. This is just a chonker. I don't even know what size this model is. I printed off the medium one. It's the size of a dreadnought. Very cool. Did some color shading, some color shift paints on it. But this guy is going to be an absolute chonker. I think this is probably a 100mm base. So more on the lines of a halfway to a Titan from a dreadnought. Very, 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 very cool. Very chunky. Okay, so next up we've got the Last Sword. And they are getting onto the Beastman hype train. Now, obviously too late for me, because I've printed out my Titan Forge and Avatars of War Beast of Chaos army there. But we've got some very cool additions here. Now, Last Sword, their sculpts are perfect. They are one of the companies that last time I checked where they didn't provide combined models. It was all like body, torso, leg, head, left arm, right arm, shield, which is amusingly fine when they come on sprues. You can kind of manage the pieces. When you print them, having to print like 20 individual tiny arms and clean them up, it's a recipe for disaster. So one to watch out for, just be prepared. You might want to print these in units of 10 or 5 instead of doing what I do, and Saturn 2. So when it comes to infantry, there's like 30 on a plate, which is a lot of arms to go missing in your resin vat. Right, this month they've got a hero, they've got some Tuskgore Beast Boys, and you've got some Ungors and what I'm assuming is one of the big Minotaur, not the Sigor, the other one. Can't remember, I don't know what it's called. Sigor is the one who throws the rock. I don't know, Beastman Giant, we'll go with that. And then you've also got a cool Centaur hero, as well as, I think, a Beast Shaman riding a Tuskgore and a Minotaur. It's just a load of very cool fantasy models. If you're in the market for some Beastmen, go have a look at that. I've got their first Beast Raider stuff. I don't think they've quite got enough for a whole army, and their style I think is actually pretty interchangeable. They're much nicer sculpts than the Games Workshop stuff, and it will stand out because they are much nicer sculpts. But again, it's always good to have more Beastmen. Oh, here you go. In fact, we can zoom in because you can see the level of detail that they put on their faces. These Beastmen have a lot of character to them. It's magnificent. Blood Hunt, I think, was their first release, and their beasts were absolutely wicked. All right, and the last one for Fantasy Realm this month is Artisan Guild. So Artisan Guild have gone a little bit skeleton-y this month. You've got some skeletons at the bottom here in a not entirely Egyptian themed. So this this I think will fit any style of skeleton release. It is a little bit more Tomb Kings-y than other stuff, but their infantry I think would fit. The infantry look perfect to be the Ulfin Khan stuff from Age of Sigmar, the newer skeletons that go with Cursed City. Now they've also got 4 armed skeleton big boys, which are clearly shooting for Bone Reapers, the Ossiarch guys, which are like Stormcast for bones for Age of Sigmar. So you've got the classic infantry, you've got some big guys, you've got a hero who is a centaur, Shadukor, the fallen centaur, and then you've got this gigantic tomb lad, which obviously I was drawn to immediately, and some very cool terrain in there as well. So Artisan Guild, it's all the arms are fixed, but the hands have got ball joints, so you can choose your weapons, you can mix stuff up from different sets. It's a lot of fun. Everything I just said about Last Sword though is very true of this. If you're printing out a unit, you're going to end up with lots of individual teeny tiny hands, which is a bit of a nuisance. I think this is a public service announcement. If you're making STLs out there and you're making it with modular bits, you know how when you buy Games Workshop Forge World, it comes with like a chunk of stuff at the end. Let's have some options so that, you know, modular pieces can be put on some sort of sprue, something, so it doesn't just all come off and float around when you're cleaning it up. That is probably the most first world problem I've had on this channel. And then we go into sci-fi, and I believe we're going to be starting this off with one-page rules. So the orcs for one-page rules have gone through a bit of a story arc already. They spoiled them. They got a lot of feedback about how they looked a bit cartoony and not quite what people were looking for. And they went away and they redid them and made them more kind of rough and ready and a bit scarier. But they've still got OPR vibes to them. So they've still got optional hair. I think they've got some optional facial hair, or I think they're moving away from that, but their orcs are way more D&D than 40k. And quite frankly, having a range of what I'm going to say is half orcs, basically. They're halfway between humans and 40k orcs, is a very good thing to have. If you want 40k orcs in STL, there are billions of companies out there that do them, but OPR have gone their own route, and it's still very, very usable, I think, for either way. But I am thoroughly enjoying. I've painted some. I've actually painted some immediately, and they were great fun to paint, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, this month is very similar to the first month. In the first month, you got some infantry, you got some heroes, you got some bikes, and you got a little vehicle. This month, you're getting veteran infantry, veteran bikes, a tank truck, basically, and I think some more characters. And I think this is one of the veteran characters. Now, they look quite different because they've got way more sci-fi armor on them, which I think is going to look really cool. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to differentiate these guys from my normal guys. They're bigger, clearly. They've got more armor, clearly. But with my kind of black scheme, I might have to add and paint up the blue armor so that they kind of look a bit more armored. But yeah, very, very, very cool. Obviously, we'll be featuring the OPR stuff much more on One Page Wednesday, but they've got their Orc Marauder veteran bikers landing, and their bikes are very, very, very cool. They're kind of like, I was going to say biker stuff, but it's like Harleys and stuff. Now, I think they're doing away with some of the facial hair, maybe some of the moustaches to make it optional, but the fact they've got a bit of character in them, I really like. But they are OPR, so they come with alternates with bald heads. So if you're not a fan of like the lead singer from Metallica driving around on a Harley with guns, you can make him a bold orc instead. Okay, over to some Trench Crusade from Titan Forge. So Trench Crusade has been something that's tangentially tickled my interest. The gameplay looks quite cool. The setting is obviously gribbly and dark, but the opportunity of building a trench system very much excites me. And then Titan Forge go and say, right, instead of doing some normal stuff that we do, because they tend to do a lot of cyberpunk bits and bobs, we're going to do some trench punk this month. And they have produced a warband. Now, I have already printed most of these off. I did have a couple of fails with their pre-supports, so it probably is right. Have I printed anything since I did that. No, I have to go check that today. It's OPR release day tonight, so we're going to be doing quite a lot of printing. But they've got basically 2 big guys, this warrior priest man, they've got 2 warrior nuns, and a whole bunch of the infantry with the big old trench crusade spiky hats and machine gun axes. Trench crusade is very weird, but man, if there was ever a project to show off my personal brand of brown painting style, it's going to be muddy bloody trenches. So really cool, really great models. Already hit these to the printer because I cannot wait to show these off later in the month on STL Sunday. No, and by the way, they're doing a big Nurgle release as well, the start of their Nurgle army, in which you get their version of Typhus, who is the captain, leader of the Death Guard Terminator boys. I've muffed that, I do apologise. But their release comes with some of the Nurgle zombies, who I can't remember what they're actually called, and a whole bunch of Nurgle Terminators with close combat weapons. I'm not a big Nurgle boy, but these are done really well. And the cool thing about Nurgle, and I've got to give it to Titanforge for their sci-fi release this month, it is a very cool mixture and just a really great opportunity to try out a couple of different painting styles. You've got the Trench Crusade, which is going to be brown and John Blanche and kind of messy and dark. And then you've got this. And Nurgle tend to be absolutely perfect for your green washes, your Nurgle's Rot special paint, your gribbly bits as well. So a very fun painting month here from Titanforge. All right, and last, but by absolutely positively no means least, I think I've saved the best for last in the way of sci-fi this month. We've got Ugly Miniatures' second release. They did the Vespids last month, and they've done the first of their Kroot this month. And I've already printed these off as well, because I'm going to be painting these up for a feature on STL Sunday too, because I love these models. And not only do I love these models, I love the fact that this is the first. So this basically gives you an alternative to the Kroot kill team. So you can save yourself 40 quid there. But Ivan is going to be brewing this up into a full army for 40k or for OPR as well. So if you like the idea of having a Kroot army but don't necessarily like it that much to the extent that you want to pay Games Workshop prices, and you want a slightly different version, UGNI here has absolutely crushed it. And I need to get painting this week, because I'm over the moon when I saw these. Absolutely love these models. I love Kroot, but not enough to spec a £40 kill team box. I am definitely in love with Kroot enough to sign up for a $9 fully supported tribe. So I wholeheartedly encourage you to go and support Ugly, because they are not ugly miniatures. They are absolutely wicked. I love a bit of Kroot. He's gone Kroot / Predator with them. They're a bit more avian. It's just, they are just fantastic. He's crushed it with the weapons. He's crushed it with the textures. And I just cannot wait for more from Ugly on their sci-fi game stuff. All right, I think I've covered everything. I think the only thing I didn't mention, which I meant to mention because I got excited, I think, with the Skaven, is Titanforge Fantasy release this month, which I will try and remember to put up on the screen here. They've got more High Elves, and they've got some ghosty wibbly bits, which I think have, I mean, it's Titanforge. They're always going to be good. I've batch printed a ton of their Beastmen, chariots, all sorts of things. So Titanforge, absolutely love them. So if you have a 3D printer or a friend with a 3D printer, this is a very good month. And I have no doubt that I've missed some really cool stuff. So please let me know in the comments other things that you've seen. You're like, Ben, this is wicked, look at this. Or please print this and review this, because I'm having such a good time with hobby at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Wargaming content. Happy printing.